The Canadian government is officially compromised through foreign interests, but don't worry, Mark Carney knows about it, and in fact, he's actually encouraging that it continues to happen. So when the Liberals' elbows up crowd starts to wonder, why are so many people okay with America coming and taking over Canada? Maybe it's because we're actively being taken over right now. So much so that the examples I have from today need to be addressed right away. They are absolutely insane, and there won't even be a Canada to protect if this continues on, so let's get into it.
Gary Ananda Sanguri was sworn in last spring as Canada's Minister of Public Safety, in charge of the country's national security agencies.
But National Security Agency, good stuff.
Court documents obtained by Global News reveal before he became Public Safety Minister as an MP, Ananda Sanguri wrote letters of support for a suspected member of a terrorist organization to come to Canada.
We have this egregious error on his part, a lack of judgment at a minimum. He should resign his post immediately.
Ananda Sanguri.
Just as an FYI, I am going to be blanking out that word that they keep saying because I want the video to stay up. But let's just say they're talking about political enthusiasts, okay?
He wrote these two official letters in 2016 and 2023 to the Canada Border Services Agency on behalf of Senthuran Selvakumaran. The Sri Lankan citizen previously admitted to officials in Canada and the UK that he was a former member of the LTTE, also known as the Tamil Tigers. The militant group,
nothing strange there,
fought for decades for an independent Tamil state, assassinating politicians and pioneering the use of suicide bombings, including on civilian targets. Tens of thousands were killed before the group was defeated in 2009. In 2006, the Canadian government designated the LTTE organization. Selvakumaran said he was never involved in any violence and merely distributed LTTE propaganda.
Yo, trust me, bro, I actually wasn't even involved in all that serious stuff. I was just, like, handing out flyers.
After his first immigration application was rejected, Selvakumaran then changed his story and claimed he was never a member of the LTTE. His lawyer...
let's just say some of those mistruths become a bit of a theme.
Lawyer said Selvakumaran made a mistake well over 2 decades ago and claimed refugee status in the United Kingdom based on a false story of relatively low-level involvement with the LTTE. But Canadian immigration officials concluded he had protracted involvement with the group for 7 years in the 90s, at a time when the LTTE was heavily engaged in the commission of acts. As a result, his applications to immigrate to Canada were rejected 4 times between 2005 and 2024.
Yeah, 4 times, but luckily, this handsome young gentleman here decided to write personal letters saying that I want to use my political pressure to try and get you to bring this guy into Canada. What a swell guy.
In his letters, Ananda Sanguri urged officials to overturn those rulings. He noted that Selvakumaran married a Canadian and
yeah, look at this strong Canadian family that we need to bring over on behalf and make sure that this guy comes over as well.
2005, and they have a young child. Separating the family for such a prolonged period of time is rather cruel and inhumane.
Yeah, we're also going to see a bit of a theme on the appeal to humanity and empathy, because there's a story in the video later on that is quite infuriating from the decision that was made based around empathy.
Ananda Sanguri wrote. Ananda Sanguri also reiterated that Selvakumaran's claims of affiliation to LTTE was erroneously made. He was wrongfully counseled by his legal representative to lie. But
yeah, these guys, he was wrongly counseled to lie for sure.
Immigration officials didn't buy it. Those same border officials who rejected the applications now report to Ananda Sanguri in his role as Public Safety Minister.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that this guy's in the role of public safety minister and the CBSA answers to this guy? So he's in charge of that somehow. That's insane to me. He is a foreign-born national who's in charge of our borders in Canada, we're going to show the story after this, because this is just a direct example of him fighting on behalf of this political enthusiast, but let's just say that he's been compromised in other ways.
Undermining national security by calling into question the decisions that they make to try to prevent people who may pose a threat to public safety or national security from coming to Canada. And now he's the minister.
In an emailed statement, Ananda Sanguri says he denounces in all its forms, and his office handles hundreds of
No, guys, I actually don't like it, I swear.
immigration matters every year. He also noted his office sent the letter in 2023 before he became a minister. In fact, he received his first ever cabinet appointment as Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations the very next day. Jeff Semple, Global.
Convenient timing. Obviously, this doesn't look good for our boy Gary, the man himself, especially because no less than a month ago, we were just talking about him on this channel because he was in the news again for Public Safety Minister recuses himself from files on 2 different political enthusiast groups. Let's read into this quickly. The cabinet minister leading Prime Minister Mark Carney's border security push said Tuesday he's recusing himself from files related to Sri Lankan political enthusiast groups and its Canadian Front organization. Is that an admission of being compromised? Is that an admission that he should not be in his position? And the expert in the Global video said as well, he needs to resign right away. If all of these allegations are true, which, I mean, there's proof of them, so I guess there's still technically allegations, but if all of this information is true, and he's also recusing himself from files, how can he do his job? How is it allowed that this foreign-born, compromised individual is the head of our border and public safety? Like, that is, guys, we're taking crazy pills by saying that this is okay. The fact is that we need to be vocal about this. Do not let this slide. This guy's got to go. He needs to step down. He needs to resign. But for some reason, here's Mark Carney signing off on it and saying he has his backing. So let's get the direct quote first.
Daniel Dove, Global News. Prime Minister, Global News has an investigation has unveiled that the Public Safety Minister wrote letters before he was the Public Safety Minister on behalf of a man and his immigration status to come to Canada, even though this man was a member of a listed suspected terrorist group. The Public Safety Minister is in charge of border security, obviously very important to any trade deal going forward.
Yeah.
What confidence do you have in the Public Safety Minister? With your reaction to this, sir?
Thank you for the question. Look, the Public Safety Minister has been transparent about the details of that situation, and he has my confidence. Thank you.
So, that's the direct quote, so that we do not misquote Carney on this situation. What he just said there was the minister has been transparent. So, he's been provided with the information. That's Mark Carney. Mark Carney knows that this guy has recused himself. He also knows that he's written these letters. All of that has been confirmed. All of these are facts. And he said, he has my confidence. So Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, is now saying, I sign off on this foreign-born individual who has now recused himself from these files, who has now been proven to fight on behalf of foreign political enthusiasts. He's obviously compromised, and Mark Carney has given him direct confidence to continue to do so. And that's why elbows up crowd and liberals, because so many times when you're like, yeah, I don't care if America takes this over because honestly, I don't even know what we're protecting at this point. People go, oh, you traitor. You don't even care about Canada. The prime minister you voted for doesn't care about Canada. He has a foreign person acting on behalf of foreign interests in charge of our public safety. So I would say that's a bit of a conflict of interest. So I would say if anybody doesn't care about Canada, it's probably Mark Carney. And again, that's why I myself am in this group. You know, that's why we got the mug, Mount Up Patriots. If we have a prime minister who does not care about foreign interests coming and taking over Canada, why would Canadians care, especially when it's at all levels of government? And this is why I have such a problem with these people having all of this political influence, because look, did you like the video yet? It helps get these videos out in front of more people. We're trying to grow the channel. And if you like what we talk about here, feel free to subscribe. Let's get back to it. Now, Surrey, everybody knows Surrey and Brampton, their communities. Surrey has officially proclaimed July 23rd as Guru Nanak Jahaz Nonsense Remembrance Day, okay? So what people don't understand is these Khalistanis and these people who try and get these laws changed, they're a foreign group who wants their own state inside of Canada. They get into politics at a way overrepresented level, so much so that we have more of them, Sikhs, Khalistanis, whatever you want to call them, they're pretty much all connected anyways. We have more of them in Canadian government than India has in their government, which is interesting. And now we are seeing the direct impacts of that. Why would we not want the US to take over? You know, the country who aligns with us the most out of almost every other country in the world. And we continue to learn story after story. So we have this gentleman here from the community we just talked about, officially a Canadian citizen, so proud to call this beautiful country home. That was on July 2nd, okay? Well, we had Rupa, so Rupa did a good post about this here, and she said, only in Canada can a permanent resident, not a citizen, someone who's still a citizen of another country, hold the roles like parliamentary assistant in the House of Commons, help run a mayor's party campaign, or work directly for a minister or MP. So keep in mind, this was a non-Canadian citizen at the time. He has officially become a Canadian citizen now, who was working in these direct government roles. I don't see how that is appropriate to have foreign-born people who are non-Canadian citizens working for the government directly. Not only working for government, like it's not like they're, I work for the Ministry of Transportation and I help people get driver's licenses or whatever. This is a legislative body that they're involved with. But luckily, with all this stuff going on, we have these awesome stories coming out of areas like Sudbury, Ontario, how good it is for them.
Finally for us tonight, dozens turned out to Bell Park as Sudbury celebrated its annual Festival of India. There were over 20 vendors on hand in various live performances. Now in its second year, the festival has expanded from a one-day to a two-day event after seeing a turnout of 6,000 attendees last year. Organizers say with the growth of Southeast Asian population in Sudbury in recent years, there was a need for a festival like this.
So for those of you who are not from Ontario, Sudbury is a small little city away from all of the major centers, and this is the festival they got there.
Festival of India is the great blend of the culture, food, dances, and it is a love to see all the community at the large from all the faith groups, especially a lot of our Canadian friends are coming in, enjoying the food. And come on, who doesn't like butter chicken and naan, right?
All right, guys, I think we can nip that in the bud. Like, well, without them coming, we wouldn't have access to butter chicken. Yeah, we can figure out butter chicken, okay? If it keeps them out of controlling government for the butter chicken or not, I think I'm okay with sacrificing the slop. But we can understand that this is obviously becoming a bigger problem than we think when A&W releases Hindi language ad to market Indian veggie burger. And this is an article from Juno News, and you have to think, well, let's reverse engineer this for a second, okay? This is expensive. It would cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get this ad put together, to the planning, all of the marketing involved, everything. And they thought it was worth the risk for them to do an ad completely in a foreign language that was going to be advertised to Canadians. And to me, that is a concerning trend. But then I found this story, okay? So they titled it, Canadian-based man charged in fatal hit and run of 114-year-old marathon runner. First of all, that 114 right away, my radar went up and I said, 114-year-old marathon runner, that's interesting. Well, let's hear the story because, of course, it's all connected to Canada. Interesting.
A man based out of Canada has been arrested in connection with the fatal hit and run of a 114-year-old marathon runner in India. Amartpal Singh Dillon was taken into custody Monday night. Dillon's SUV has been seized as part of the investigation. The collision happened in India's northern Punjab province.
So keep in mind, this collision happened in Punjab, India, but they're calling it Canadian-based man charged in fatal hit and run.
Police allege the 26-year-old was speeding down the street when he hit Fauja Singh. The elderly man was rushed to hospital where he died of his injuries. The suspect was born in India but came to Canada on a work visa which was set to expire in 2027. He went back to India on June 23rd. Fauja Singh has competed in marathons for decades, including being the first person over the age of 100 to complete the Toronto Marathon.
So if you want an example of why it's hard to trust information coming out of India, this guy's been bragging about being a 114-year-old marathon runner. There's no birth certificate. There's no proof. So he got to just make up his age. This guy got to choose what his age was. So is it possible that he's not 114 years old? Is it possible that we've seen that come out of India a ton of times where people's ages are incorrect? Especially now, we've actually been seeing an increase in alleged age fraud because people have wanted access to their old age pensions earlier, stuff like that. Again, that's just allegations. This guy, we don't have a birth certificate for how old he is. We just have to go, yeah, this, for the first time ever in all of history, 114 years old. This guy's running marathons. It's never been seen before, but this guy's doing it, and we just got to believe him. And in fact, he was never given a world record because they couldn't verify it at all. So I love that they left that out of the news story. And it's also why we are allowed to call these people out when they are lying all the time. Speaking of calling people out, this is a tweet from Colin Rugg. He said, Indian man in Canada who tried paying for fun times from a 15-year-old gets a conditional discharge simply because he's an immigrant and conviction would delay his citizenship. Utter insanity. Canada is a joke. It's starting to certainly feel that way. And again, this is coming to a head and why we can see that we have no problem with America coming and taking over, because according to Justice Paul Thomas O'Mara, that is the judge who was presiding over this case. And this is why I wanted to bring this case to the forefront. It is, of course, about what the case was based around. We now have a Canadian judge who's proving that we can't necessarily trust the system to make the right decisions, because he said treating 30-year-old, and I'm not going to try and say his name because it's insane, like a Canadian citizen is unfair because the conviction would unfairly impact his life. Mr. Kant is permanent resident seeking Canadian citizenship, professional licensing, said O'Mara. A conviction would not only delay his citizenship by 4 years, but could also prevent him from sponsoring his wife and obtaining his engineering license. So, this Canadian judge decided that at the expense of Canadian citizens, it's more important that we have, and this is why this is a callback from the beginning of the video, we have empathy for this guy so that this guy who committed a crime could come and make sure that he stays in Canada and brings his wife over at the expense of the Canadian community. So I don't know if that's going to have an impact on social cohesion later on. And I really wanted to make a point about this. This is a perfect example of why you just can't trust the system at face value, because this decision that was made here, if you look at the decision, was either inherently and very evil, choosing to hurt Canadians, that's what the decision says, or it is just a completely insane low IQ decision. So we have to acknowledge the clear outcome and decision made here was absolutely crazy. And that's why we continue to see things like this. Canada has an existential crisis. It's normal for nearly half of Canada's future generation to want to abandon its country in favor of another, right? This is what happens when our youth's future was replaced and sacrificed for third world immigrants and a real estate Ponzi scheme. And what it is an excerpt from an article that says 4 in 10, 43% Canadians aged 18 to 34 would vote to be American if citizenship and conversion of assets to USD was guaranteed. And of course that's the case, because we just had 10 years of Canada saying it is a post-national state. There's no identity here. There is nothing to protect. So if we've been told that for 10 years, and keep in mind that's 18 to 34, how young a lot of those people would have been 10 years ago through their formative years. They said, what are we protecting? If we are going to get taken over by foreign interests, it should be America, because Canadian values, whatever those are, certainly do align with America way more than these other ones which we've talked about in this video, which don't seem to be very fitting, but those are the ones that we seem to encourage more. And so how dare we want to be part of America? You know, the largest economy in the world, one of the places with the most opportunity. How dare young Canadians want to be interested in that? I actually think we should vote for another foreign holiday to be recognized in Canada. That's actually going to be better. So long story short, whenever the elbows up crowd calls you a traitor, whenever these people say, why do you want to be American? It's because of stuff like this. We are watching the country be handed off as it stands. There are people in government completely compromised who need to step down right away, who are not stepping down, and our prime minister is encouraging it. If you made it this far in the video, you absolutely rock. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Trying to get these videos out in front of more people, help grow the channel. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.